Part 1 Libra 2026 Horoscope. A decision will change everything. There is a night in 2026 when Libra realizes the person sleeping beside them has already emotionally left. And the terrifying part, you felt it long before they said a word. The silence changed first, then the way they looked at you. Then the strange distance in ordinary conversations. And one night, around 3:17 a.m., your phone lights up in the dark. A message. Short. Cold. Unexpected. Your stomach drops before you even read it, because your intuition already knows. Something is ending, something you spent years trying to save, and after this night, nothing feels the same again. Libra, this is not a normal horoscope, this is a warning. Because 2026 is one of those rare years that only happens once every few years. When fate stops asking politely. And starts taking things away. Suddenly. Violently. Emotionally. This year contains a decision that splits your life into two completely different futures. One version of you survives, the other disappears forever. And right now, you are closer to that moment than you realize. You ignored the sign the first time. Remember that strange feeling when someone said "I love you," but your nervous system felt fear instead of safety? That moment mattered, but you dismissed it. Because Libra always tries to preserve harmony, even while emotionally drowning. And that is exactly why 2026 becomes dangerous for you, because the universe has become tired of watching you abandon yourself to keep other people comfortable. So now, everything hidden begins surfacing at once. The lies, the emotional manipulation, the obsession. The betrayal you sensed but could never prove. And the worst part, the person you trusted most already knows the truth. There is a scene repeating itself in your future. You standing in a kitchen, late evening. Rain hitting the windows, someone avoiding eye contact, your intuition screaming, and suddenly, you realize the conversation you are having is not the real conversation happening. Something is underneath their words, something dark, something they hoped you would never discover. And then, they say one sentence that changes everything. Not because of the words themselves, because of what your soul finally understands in that moment. This connection was never stable. It was survival disguised as love. And Libra, that revelation breaks something inside you. But that is not the worst part. The worst part comes later, because after the truth surfaces, they disappear emotionally. Not physically at first. Emotionally. Cold replies, detached energy, a strange absence in their eyes, like watching someone slowly become a stranger while still standing in front of you, and you will torture yourself trying to understand when it changed, but deep down, you already know. It changed the moment you started awakening. Because your growth threatens people who depended on your confusion. 2026 is the year you stop confusing emotional suffering with destiny. And once that realization begins, your entire reality destabilizes. Suddenly, old memories return, random names appear everywhere. Dreams become violent and emotional, songs trigger forgotten feelings. People from years ago suddenly contact you. This is not coincidence. Your subconscious is trying to warn you. Because something massive is approaching. Something connected to a decision you are terrified to make, and time is running out. That is the energy surrounding Libra. 2026. Pressure. Urgency. Emotional countdown. You will feel it physically. Trouble sleeping. Random anxiety. Your chest tightening during quiet moments. Because your soul already sees the future, your mind still refuses to accept. And then comes the obsession. Not ordinary attraction. Obsession. The kind that consumes your thoughts at 2 a.m. The kind where one person suddenly destabilizes your emotional reality completely. You try to fight it. You try to remain logical. But the connection feels terrifyingly familiar, like your soul recognizes them before your life does. And this changes everything, because this person enters your life exactly when your current reality begins collapsing. The timing feels impossible, almost supernatural, and that is what scares you. Because suddenly you must face a truth you spent years avoiding. You cannot stay emotionally loyal to a life that is killing you internally. But Libra, there is danger here too, because obsession can either awaken you or destroy you, especially when loneliness becomes unbearable, especially after betrayal, especially when someone finally makes you feel emotionally seen. Be careful who you emotionally surrender to this year. Not every intense connection is safe. Some are karmic traps disguised as soulmates. And one specific moment in 2026 becomes the final warning. You are driving somewhere late at night. Or maybe sitting alone in silence, and suddenly everything becomes clear, a terrifying kind of clarity. You realize who has been draining you, who secretly resents you, who loves your energy but not your evolution, who only wanted the broken version of you. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. This changes now. Because after that realization, your behavior changes immediately. You stop chasing, you stop over-explaining, you stop begging for emotional consistency, and that sudden shift shocks everyone around you, especially one person. The person who thought you would never leave, the person who underestimated how much pain you were silently carrying, and suddenly they panicked. Very quietly at first, then emotionally, then desperately, because people only realize your value once they feel your energy disappearing. But Libra, listen carefully. Do not confuse their fear of losing you with genuine love. That mistake costs you everything if repeated, and the universe knows you are vulnerable right now. That is why 2026 keeps testing your heart. Again and again and again until finally something snaps. A conversation explodes. A secret surfaces. Someone confesses something you were never supposed to hear. And the emotional shock physically changes you. You stop seeing them the same way after that moment. But what Libra discovers next is even darker, because the betrayal was not the real problem. The real problem was how long you ignored your own intuition to avoid facing loneliness. That realization destroys the old version of you completely, and for a while, you become emotionally unrecognizable. Detached. Silent. Watching people carefully. Trusting nobody completely. Your energy changes, your eyes change, even your presence changes. People begin feeling uncomfortable around you because you suddenly see through performances, and this is where the transformation begins, accelerating uncontrollably. New opportunities appear fast. 2. A new city, a new relationship, a sudden offer. A relocation possibility. An escape route, and every path demands sacrifice. Because not everyone can follow you where your soul is trying to go. This becomes painfully obvious near the middle of 2026. Someone gives you an ultimatum. Choose them, or choose yourself. And for the first time in your life, you hesitate. Because part of you already knows the relationship is ending. Not loudly, not dramatically. Energetically. The soul connection already broke. Only the routine survived. And then comes the moment you will remember forever. You are alone. Looking at your reflection, completely exhausted emotionally, and suddenly you hear your own thoughts clearly for the first time in years. If I stay here, I will lose myself completely. That sentence changes your entire future, because after that night, everything accelerates violently. Messages arrive, secrets leak, people reveal hidden motives, someone returns from the past unexpectedly. And for one dangerous moment, you almost go back. Almost. Because nostalgia becomes lethal for Libra. 2026. You will miss people who nearly destroyed you emotionally. Simply because they once felt familiar. But this year is not about familiarity. It is about awakening. Painful awakening. Irreversible awakening. And right before the biggest decision arrives, you discover one final truth. The person you were trying to save never intended to save you back. Silence. That is the moment your entire emotional world stops moving. Because suddenly, everything makes sense. The mixed signals, the emotional inconsistency, the manipulation. The distance, the exhaustion. You were carrying a relationship alone, and now You must decide whether to finally let it die. Or continue sacrificing your soul to keep it alive. But choose carefully, Libra, because this decision happens only once every few years. And whatever happens next will permanently alter the direction of your life forever.